What's going on? What's going on? How's everybody doing? It's your boy Isaac, aka the Iceman of the Under No Conditions podcast. Tiana White, she'll be back with us soon. She's handling her business. What's going on, everybody? How was your day? How's your week been? What's going on? Look, today we're gonna talk about something that often people have come in contact with, know somebody has experienced it, and even done it themselves, right? So, how often or do you know somebody or have you experienced somebody who continue to place labels to avoid looking at the destructive behaviors based on unhealthy belief systems? Behaviors such as it's a habit, this is who I am, come as I am, I'm never going to change, like me for who I am. And I hear that often in people that I'm around in the field that I'm in. Because what I often experience is change is difficult. Individuals become comfortable in the behavior pattern that they have developed for themselves. And oftentimes, what I experience is when you pursue, and I'm going to say check or pull up individuals that are displaying those type of negative behaviors that are having a negative impact on the foundation of what you're trying to do, it becomes confrontational. They never look at it as somebody's trying to help me. They become defensive because oftentimes what I have discovered, not just from my professional but personal life, individuals struggle with acceptance, accountability, and change. And oftentimes, what happens with that is that people stay comfortable. They be, and they begin to accept who they are, and they begin to believe that they can't change. And that's far from the truth. And I'm your example. I was at one time in my life, I loved confrontation. My motto was bring it on. You couldn't tell me anything. I wouldn't listen to anybody. Nobody knew more than I did. And I looked at my behavior not as a survival mechanism. I looked at my behavior as a way of me being able to live the life that I thought I wanted to live. And that life was full of pain. That life was full of hurt. That life was full of misloyalty. That life was full of individuals not trusting me not trusting myself, me not loving myself, me not knowing how to love myself. Don't be like me. Eventually, the circumstances often become greater than the pain. And sometimes certain individuals have to get to that place where when the pain becomes greater than the task, then at some point you realize that you cannot continue to be the same person that you are. And in that process, we age, we grow, we begin to experience different experiences. We have different experiences. People come into our life for long periods of times, short period of times. Individuals create boundaries. Other individuals allow us to be in that behavior because they're comfortable in their own behavior. And what I learned many times is when you're around people that are comfortable with your behavior and don't want to ruffle your feathers, is because they are so much like you. They can identify with the behavior and they're looking towards you as validation. And it's a very false sense of validation because you're living a lie. Your destructive behaviors start telling on you after a period of time. And oftentimes we get into a place where we begin to try to modify it. I call it easing the pain. And oftentimes that doesn't work. It doesn't because it's still there. I just modified it. Or I put it somewhere else, or I put it a part of another belief that overlaps the thing that I enjoy doing the most. It's like going to a job, no matter how much experience you have, how many years you've been in the field, and going into a new place of employment and think you know everything. And then when somebody else tries to teach you or correct you or provide guidance, those destructive behaviors come to the surface. Have you ever been around somebody or in a crowd or been in conversations where people don't like people that they don't even know? That says a lot about not the person that they don't like. It says a lot about the person that's making that statement. Because when I think about it, who am I to make a decision on something I don't even know nothing about? And what you'll find out when you're around individuals of that character, you will realize that they don't even like themselves. And it will come out because we all come with a representative. And many, many times, what you'll find out, a situation or a circumstance will bring out the real you. And you will show your true and natural colors. And destructive behaviors many times cover up a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. Individuals don't feel like they've been seen, or people in their life, they feel like they haven't been loyal. But what I found out in my growth and my time, you know, doing the work that I've done over a matter of over 30 years, loyalty is the biggest misconception that any human being can have. Because many times when we talk about that, that's also attached to a belief system and destructive behaviors. Because I'm loyal to the bone, I am going to accept all unhealthy transactions that come across that individual that I'm unloyal to. I'm not only going to accept, I'm going to adapt and adopt some of those behaviors so I can mimic the loyalty. And at that point, that loyalty becomes so unhealthy that you lose yourself in many of those unhealthy behaviors. And guess what? Those unhealthy belief systems. In my process, of really learning how to grow. I had to learn how to pause, think, and choose. And that happens is in milliseconds. And the thing that I had to learn how to do and to understand was this: everybody's behavior has nothing to do with me. And if I take it personally, if it creates an emotion in me that sparks an uncomfortability, the one thing I've learned how to do is to ask myself, what is it about that individual's or even my own truth at this point that is so uncomfortable that it's making me feel this way? And oftentimes, what I found out is that many times it's things that in our life we don't even deal with, we haven't processed. So instead of processing it, guess what we do with it? We stuff it and we allow it to sit in the pit of our gut. And then when a situation happens that creates a whole different set of emotions, we give ourselves permission to act out that character defect that's been there all the time. Like for me, I'm a funny dude. And I hear people all the time, oh, I'm in my journey of healing. I'm gonna tell you what I'll do on purpose. If I'm around you and I know you and I've been around you and I understand some of your issues, and I'll wait for you to bring me something and I'll challenge you on it just to see where you are in your healing journey. And on many occasions, I've had people tell me, Isaac, I still got a lot of work to do because I thought that part of me was healed. Healing is different for everybody. But the one thing I learned about healing, if you don't take anything from me tonight, you can't heal in silence. You can't heal in isolation because it doesn't give you the opportunity to continue to work on the one thing that you need to heal on. And oftentimes, if we real honest about ourselves, we don't even know what to heal or what we're healing from. And a lot of times, because we so oversaturated with being socially accepted, and we listen to all these innuendos that people not only say, they do. Everybody has a suggestion. Everybody knows the right thing to do. Sometimes there's a right and a wrong, and a wrong and a wrong, and a right and a right. But in healing, healing is about becoming whole. Healing is not about happiness because when you in that process of re-engaging life, even with yourself, and learning about your different behaviors and your unhealthy belief systems, For me, the one thing I started to do was pay attention to other people's behaviors and ask myself, is that the person that I want to be? And if I can identify, I can look at that and be like, that used to be me. And I do not want to be that person anymore. And that's because that brings total accountability on my behalf. So what I've learned how to do, I have a three steps. I call it a series for me. Whenever I enter a situation that I'm not even sure about, I pause. That 1 or 2 seconds allows me to process what I'm feeling. If I run into a situation, an argument, a healthy or unhealthy argument, I pause, then I think, and then I make a choice. I choose how I want to engage in this situation. And oftentimes I find myself not engaging because oftentimes other people's behavior has nothing to do with me. Now, there's a thing called transference. It could be something that you can do, it could be something that you can say, it could be a smell, it could be an action, it could be a walk, it could be a look that may trigger somebody else's pain. And you may not even know. Like I hear a lot of people say, who she thinks she talking to? I hear that a lot. I used to be that guy, man. Who you think you talking to? You're not talking to me like that. But then I realized sometimes I've realized, not all the time, some people really just don't know. They're so comfortable with talking to people like that because people have allowed them to talk to them like that. Now that becomes a defense mechanism that they have become comfortable with. And I've had to learn in many occasions when people come off and it's really not the thing that they're coming off with, it's really the thing that they're not dealing with that brings out that expression. I walk away. And you know how many times people come back and apologize to me? And then I ask them a series of questions. And many times they're not clear. Many times I hear excuses or reasoning. And I understand. I know that's coming because destructive behaviors and belief systems and tags are often difficult to break when you become comfortable in them. It's like even dealing with your kids. One thing I had to understand about being a father is that all my children are me. As they grow and mature, they're going to develop their own personality. But for the most part, they are me. So oftentimes, I get a joy out of being able to laugh at my kids, even in some of the craziest situations. I get to laugh and shake my head, and I might get to ask them, "Well, how did that feel? What did you think about that? How did that work for you? Or what did you learn? And if you had to do it differently, what would you do differently?" That's just for my kids. That's just what I do. But when I'm dealing with adults or my partner or any adult human being, I learn how to listen first. And another thing I do, if you don't ask for my advice, I don't give it to you. Because no matter how I may explain it, when you're in that state of being, when you're in that unhealthy belief system, or you stuck on, I enjoy being who I am, and this is who I am, and I'm always going to be like that, regardless of what I think or what I feel, I won't provide you with any advice. I'll just be quiet. And oftentimes, when you in that negative space, that negative energy, quietness is a threat. Because people ask you, why you so quiet? Nothing. I'm processing. I'm being very observant, and I'm working on understanding the situation. For me, it has nothing to do with you. Because many times as adults, we not only carry other people's burdens, we don't often give ourselves permission to not be okay. And that's a problem I have. I have, and I struggle with that. I struggle with asking for help, and I struggle not allow people to assist me when I'm okay. Because I often, I look at myself as a fixer, and that's a behavior. That's a belief system, and that's something I continue to work on. Because depending on the situation, I know it's unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. It's unhealthy for me, and it's unhealthy for the situation. So oftentimes we do more damage to ourselves than other people do to us. Letting go. It's hard for a lot of people when you're dealing with destructive belief systems and unhealthy tags. When you're dealing with individuals or circle or group of people that are comfortable with being in those destructive behaviors and those unhealthy belief systems, no matter where they are, who they are, most people will surround themselves around people that have some of the same qualities versus adapting to some uncomfortability and learning about themselves and not blaming nobody for it. But however, as you grow and as you mature, life will humble you. Life will teach you the lessons that you know you should have learned. And now that you're learning them now, don't feel bad about them. Learn them, absorb them, and give it back to the person or the people that want it. So just remember, your behavior often is a reflection of the pain that you have not healed from or the belief systems that continue to keep you trapped. It is okay to give yourself permission. And with that, I'm Isaac Murden. I'm the Iceman of the Under No Conditions podcast. Thank you for joining me tonight. Once again, Tiana White, she'll be with us soon. She's taking care of some business. And she most definitely sent her regards. For you guys that want to know how to reach me, I am on YouTube under the iMedia Network, under No Conditions Podcast. You can find me on Facebook under No Conditions Podcast. And you can visit me on my personal YouTube page, Isaac Merton. And if you have any questions, you want to talk, you can reach out to me at the UNC podcast at gmail.com. And with that, If nobody told you that they love you today, the UNK family, we love you. Peace. Stay strong.